Hello everybody, welcome back to Altcoin Buzz Trading. I'm Randy. Today we're going to be talking about cryptocurrencies. Could talk about geopolitics, but you're probably not here for that. All right, so we're going to be discussing Tezos RUNE, or Thorchain, as some people call it, and then SFP, which I think is SafePal. Never knew that coin's name. I only know it by the tickers. Do you guys use the tickers or the names? Leave me a comment below. So Bitcoin yesterday, or I should say today, happened with a big snapback. So snapback rally, let's dig down just a little bit in here. So yesterday we talked about Bitcoin was rolling over. We did end up rolling over, but we didn't go that far. We dropped down, we consolidated, we had a little bit heavier volume than we probably should have over here, and then rallying back. Now subsequent to that, we actually have had a small extension upward out of this tiny consolidation, and that was the previous. So this is my 2-hour chart. This is the current 2-hour bar, 1 hour left in it. The one prior to that is right here, and look at the amount of wicking in that one on higher volume. So this market isn't necessarily guaranteed to rally back. There's quite a bit of distribution in this market still. One snapback rally doesn't kill a bear, but at the same time, if we can't exit this channel, and we've discussed this channel, we may be destined to live inside of it. So maybe we can extend our channel over here a little bit. So I'm going to go full screen on this for a moment, and you can see our big orange channel here. The way our volume signature is playing out right here, channels very likely, especially after this snapback, we could live in the channel, we could do all kinds of horrible things in the channel. I do want to preface the rest of this video by saying this. If you guys don't feel like trading for the next 24 hours or so based on that snapback event, I can't blame you for that. And I'm not saying you have to. Everybody needs a break. I recommend taking breaks. Very few people walk in this game and instantly get it. They just get it. Very few people do that. And I would argue 99.9% of successful traders did not have that experience. Pretty much everybody goes through a period where you have a wrong read on the market, you lose a bunch of money, and you should probably take a step away. One thing you don't want to do is revenge trade, which is where, let's say you took a huge short on BTC here, it starts working, you leave, go to bed, go to sleep, go to work, whatever the case may be, come back and you're stopped out. And now you're angry, and then what happens is you go out and you try to make that money back. Well, it's not your money anymore, it's gone, and that only leads to revenge trading. So you try to get the money back, it never happens, and you just end up losing more money. Revenge is not good for anybody. Just stop it. Just stop revenge trading. Don't revenge trade. Don't overtrade. Overtrading is another one. But the psychology of the market right now could lead to some devastating account effects. So if you're not feeling right in the head, if you're feeling any emotion other than no emotion, maybe take a break from the charts and turn off this video and come back in a week, something like that. But for those of you still here, we'll continue forward with the analysis. So snapping back right here, let me take my screen back to normal here. So snapping back right here is a little bit dangerous. Some people could take it as a long signal. I'm not necessarily advocating that. I could see the scenario where we bounce up and into the top part of this range. And there's going to be some people being aggressive in this area, but usually those will be the more advanced traders. They'll have signals down here that they use for range-bound trading. I mentioned we would discuss range-bound trading if it comes to that. It's not started yet that it's come to that. Maybe another leg up would do that, breaching this 26,450 level. That could get us to start talking about the move back up. But if you notice, this is already kind of well off the lows. We don't have a super well-defined channel at this point, but if we stay up here a couple more days, if we just consolidate, that could lead to a more healthy entry. Right now, I don't think it's extraordinarily healthy right now. I think that the market's in a place where we could rally, and if you want to participate in that, I'm going to show you how, if you want to. Notice I'm like, 4.5 minutes in this video, and I haven't given you a long trade yet, because I want to preface this by saying you don't have to take this. If you want to take this, here's how you approach it. First of all, we take a risk-first approach. So your buy point would be here. Your sell point would actually be right here. It's going to be under this red bar on my 2-hour time frame. This is where we popped and we snapped back down. That's where we want to put our stop, where we found that very first support. And so here you can go right on it with about a 1.9%. You can go a little bit beneath that and give it like a 2%, if you're going to buy right now. If you want to wait for a pullback, obviously that's going to get smaller. Now, what about for an extension up? We'll stay on this 2-hour time frame. And so for a move up, my argument right now would be you take this trade, but with the possibility to change your target. Okay, this trade you could be a little more flexible in, because if you're looking for a full snapback trade, as we discussed, this could be a potential 20% target, even as it sits right now. But I do want to preface this by saying that if the market doesn't look pretty strong on the way up, you may just want to go for the 8%, give or take. You could even go a little bit smaller to 5%. But I want you to notice that all these trades here have a decent risk-reward ratio. Okay, 3-to-1 here with an entrance right now on my chart, which is what, 26,112, 26,125, give or take. And then a stop loss of 25,557. I'm sorry, 25,575. I can't read this morning. And then on the top side, 27,775, give or take. Okay, so this would be like a pretty, I don't want to say low risk, because I think the risk is just taking the trade in this environment. I'm not fully sold on this snapback being fully real yet. I'm not going to be taking any trades. But if some people are going to, and I'd like to at least give you a little bit of guidelines on that. So that's what BTC could be doing, but we're already getting a little bit of weakness stepping in as we rally forward here. My volume aggregation tool, though, shows the buyers are holding. The sellers are holding pretty good, though. Keep that in mind, too. Both your buyers and your sellers are keeping pace with each other. So I think that could be a potential trade. It's not my favorite trade of all time. Not my top 1,000 favorite trades of all time, but it's a possibility, and that's how you would protect yourself with a reasonable stop loss. But being the choppy market that we're in, if you want to abstain altogether, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. All right, let's move on to a couple of altcoins. Reset our charts here. Let's go on to XTZ. This is Tezos. Now, I do want to reference that all my remaining charts are against Bitcoin. These are not against Tether, okay? Now, you can trade them against Tether, but take your signals against Bitcoin. It's a little more advanced, a little harder to do, but it's possible. All right, so let's take a look at this name, Tezos. So as you can see, we have kind of a horizontal line across my chart here, and we're going to take a short trade on this one. We're going to mock up a short trade. So here's our measured move. If you haven't figured this out by now, I like measured moves on these little horizontals, okay? So measured move, we're going to take our low. So our target's 1786. All right, so that's our target. And risk reward looks going to be pretty good on this one. So our breakdown point is going to be right at the trend line, okay? So let's zoom in on this one. I'll go full screen for this one too. Make the fonts a little bit bigger, maybe. Okay, so this one, risk reward, only about 2-to-1. Our risk is pretty high at 12% right now. I don't like that. But what you could do is wait for a snapback, back up. We had a snapback yesterday. We've talked about it in the past. Should be familiar with the setup at this point in time. But if it falls straight through the floor, then you have to have your stop at 12%. And then if you get like a 5% gain out of it, you can move your stop to break even. That will eliminate that 12% risk because it needs to be mitigated. You could also take a half position size, okay, which gives you basically a 6.25% stop loss from a dollar perspective, and then gives you the target down here about 27%, a pretty good move. Now, I like the snapback move up here better because you get the lower risk profile. Doesn't change your target at all, but as we've been saying, you have to take your stop based on the chart. Now, I have mine pretty high all the way up here. If you want to go right here, which is where those 3 candles start to cascade lower, you can do that. That gets you to 9%, but you want to give it some buffer, so maybe 9.5%. That could be an alternative way to play this, but I played it really safe and just go to the top where all these resistance points are. It's not a lot further, but I digress. So that could be a potential trade here for Tezos versus Bitcoin, okay? I do want to preface that as versus Bitcoin. Next up is Thorchain. Thorchain versus Bitcoin. And this is starting to break a little bit. Let's go to the 2-hour chart on this one. This one's starting to break a little bit. So here's the support in this larger consolidation, but it's beginning to give way. All right, now this one has a little bit of a tighter risk-reward ratio. And we're going to put our open pretty much right now. Our stop is going to be up here at the high, which is about 3%. And our target's going to be down to the recent low, which is 8.5%. Okay, so your entrance is basically right now at the 57.73. Your stop loss is 59.40. And your take profit is 52.83. Again, versus Bitcoin, right? Now I'm on the Binance. I'm on the Binance chart here. Yeah. So this is a pretty standard trade. And notice I'm not taking a measured move or anything. I'm just going to recent support because if you're lucky, this blows through this support and you don't have to take it. You don't have to take profits here. And you can take profits all the way much, much lower to the 34 or whatever, in which case, we're going to take a stop loss based on this point here, which gives us a 38% profit if this fully retraces, which is what you're looking for in a generally bearish environment. You're looking for a lot of these moves to fully retrace. So I don't think this one's too bad. This one's a not bad trade, but it is against BTC. Again, you can trade it against Tether using Bitcoin as your signals. If you want to, it's more advanced because you have to manage something by looking at something else, but it's something that's possible to do. All right, and then next up is SafePal. Yeah, SafePal, whatever the heck this thing is. And very similar situation to Rune. This one has a consolidation. So this one also has a failed breakout above the 2303. And now we're breaking the trend line. This one also is a little bit difficult with stops. It'd be nice to have a snapback here as well. But one thing you could do is take the approach of pretending this is a snapback and you'd have to get in here. And your stop loss on this one, again, you don't have a measured move, but you could take it to a support line. This isn't too bad, 14% to the downside, but your risk reward ratio isn't spectacular, 2.23. Okay, so this isn't that spectacular. It is a third trade, but I thought it was an interesting setup because this one gives you a failed high. This is called a swing failure pattern. Oddly enough, that is the acronym for SFP, swing failure pattern. So we've actually traded this before in a swing failure pattern, and it worked out okay. So swing failure is up here. I have a couple attempts to go higher, and then the attempt to go lower right now. Yeah, but a snapback would be better, would give you a tighter stop loss, and then the ability to have a better risk-reward ratio on this one. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, as I prefaced this video with, you don't have to take any of these trades. The market's a little bit tricky right now. If you want to abstain, that's fine with me. No issues there. Go take a break. Go actually get some work done as you're working from home. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow on Altcoin Buzz Trading.